The agricultural sector plays a vital role in the economy of many nations. For Nigeria, in spite of the oil, agriculture remains the base of the economy, providing the main source of livelihood for most citizens. Despite the dependence of most Nigerians directly or indirectly on the agricultural sector for their livelihood, the sector still faces many challenges limiting its productivity, especially in terms of access to agricultural information, limited adoption of research findings and technologies, access and high cost of quality farm inputs, poor access to credit facilities, inefficient fertilizer procurement and distribution, inadequate storage facilities, and poor access to markets. Farmers have limited access to agricultural information on modern innovations and practices due to a weak extension system, amongst others, and this limits the production capacity of farmers. To address these challenges affecting the productivity of farmers, it is important to develop their production capacities through human resource development, also known as capacity building. The idea of capacity building is to systematically train farmers by using a wide range of learning techniques and strategies with emphasis on personal development. However, farmers' access to agricultural information and advisory services through extension agents in Nigeria still remains very poor. This is due to inadequate extension personnel that will provide quality information and trainings to boost the production capacities of the over 70 million farmers in Nigeria.
As you are aware, in this country we have 36 ADP plus FCT, which means that we have 37, and each of these ADP, they have the mandate to deliver extension to the farmers. So NLS work through them to reach out to the farmers. However, in the recent years, we have discovered that the delivery of extension services at the state level has been very ineffective because of the days of extension personnel in the states. Huge gap between the ratio of extension agent and farm family, which is supposed to be about 1 to 1,000. But in the present day Nigeria, the average is about 1 to 6,000, and which means that there's no extension agent that can reach out to 6,000 farm family in a year. That's one. And secondly, poor funding of ADPs. And we believe that in the near future, the productivity of agriculture will not only double or triple, and the issue of food security will be achieved.
As a solution to the challenge of inadequate extension personnel in Nigeria, the National Agricultural Extension and Research License Services (NAERLS) is collaborating with other government and private organizations to build the capacities of thousands of farmers in several communities in Kaduna and Niger states to become community-based advisors, also known as CBAs. These community-based advisors will be specially trained on technical and social aspects covering the whole value chain of rice, maize, and soybean. This collaboration is called the AGRA NAERLS CBA project.
For us, the principal stakeholders in which we'll be working to enhance their capacities are the primary field extension agents under the what we call the TMV system, which is now represented by what we call the agricultural development projects. The frontline extension agent, which is called the extension agent, we will be training these people who would also work to train the CBAs. We will be doing this in partnership with one of the NGOs in the project, SD 2000. So we'll be working with them to train the CBAs, to train the extension agents and the CBAs on good agronomic practices. We would have specific training on linkages of how they can take advantage of opportunities within the public and private sector. One, for example, we have loans available both in the private banks and as well as the current NASAL and the Anchor Borers program. We'll be training the CBAs who are farmers and the extension agents to enable the CBAs to take advantage of this. We'll be training them also on, especially for the CBAs, we want to train them to serve as what we call agripreneurs. That is, they are going to be independent of government's funding. This means that they will have to generate activities in which they will be able to address address the farmers' needs while generating some form of income from them. One of these is we will be providing tablets for them with which they can provide advisory services to farmers, and then to provide specific and detailed advice, they could now provide a minimum charge. We're also hoping to work with one tool, the Crop Advice, in which it's a business tool. They provide services to farmers, and in the process of provision of those services, they get some form of income. So those are some of the trainings. And I also mentioned the issue of mechanization, and we want to work with both public and private sector mechanization organizations. Principally for now, we're working with TOFA. They will be training the CBAs to be able to act as hiring agents. That is, they'll aggregate the CBAs. The CBAs will aggregate farmers in which they and link them up to TOFA, who will provide some or whatever form of mechanization is required, and they'll be able to take advantage of that. So those are some of the training options we will be having with the farmers.
The goal is to build and sustain an inclusive agricultural transformation in Nigeria that will lead to an increase in incomes and improved food security through a developed private sector-led extension service provision to boost the productivity of maize, rice, and soybean. The project is output-oriented, which focuses on a series of trainings on good agricultural practices from production to utilization. Master trainers were selected and trained from the entire project partners. These partners include Kaduna Agricultural Development Agency, Niger State Agricultural Mechanization Development Agency, SG2000, NAERLS, Seed and Fertilizer Companies, Agricultural Commodity Associations, and NGOs, among others. This group of trainers are expected to step down the knowledge acquired through several trainings to Agri Extension Advisors, AEAs, who will also train CBAs. The CBAs are also expected to work with a minimum of 15 farmers each. The project adopted the use of demonstration plots to train the CBAs on good agronomic practices. The practical sessions were carried out in the field through demonstration on how to lay out mother and baby demos and other agronomic practices to observe, such as plant spacing, seed wreath, and planting depth, among others. The trainings were carried out by resource persons from within and outside Nigeria.
For over 10, 20 years, I've tried to have what we call a community base, that is community-driven sustainability.
A minimum of 5 AEAs were selected from each of the selected local government areas from the project in the 2 states. A few were also selected from some of the project's partners. During the training of the AEAs, participants were trained on how to identify CBAs and also equipped with skills on good agronomic practices to enable them train more advisors for effective extension delivery in their various localities.
This training is very good for the farmers because it brings the farmers together in terms of how to help themselves and to boost agricultural production in their community.
Going by the trainings we enjoy during the pre-season training on the EAs and down now to the CBAs. So far I've learned so many things, and with this at least I have things to tell the farmers in our rural community. Already I have some plots of land for the demo, and by this training we were asked to cultivate the place that those farmers going close to the road, whereby the farmers around the community will see the demonstration. So I'm going to extend this to the CVS and tell them where and when to land and how to demarcate the border.
At the end of the training, participants are expected to have learned the importance and need for CBAs in extension delivery services, skills on identification and selection of appropriate CBA in participatory manner, the appropriate skill for effective extension delivery, good agronomic practices on maize, rice, and soybean, and the skills for identification and control of fall armyworm and other crop pests and diseases in their localities. The project also organized series of trainings on activities along the value chain in order to enlighten farmers to see farming as a business and not just for household food supply. Trainings on post-harvest management, tractor hiring services, and market and linkages for agricultural commodities were conducted. The aim of the trainings is to help farmers minimize losses of farm yield during harvest and storage, enlighten them on advantages of agri-mechanization in farming and the potentials of generating more income through tractor hiring services, and lastly to train farmers as aggregators and link them to market sources and ensure they sell their products at a good price.
I have attended 5 to 6 training on this Agra program. We have the CBS training, and we have the one that they call us and they train us on how to plant rice and maize with soybeans. I had a training on this tractor hiring agent with how to, if you harvest your product, how to take care of it and keep it out from the moisture content. That is, when it dries, at least you will store it for a long duration. The Agra gave me rice seedlings to farm, which I practice it, and I see a serious improvement on it. I have impacted so many people in my community. Even now, presently, as I'm talking with you, when I told them that I'll be coming for a training in Zaria, so many of them have been calling me since yesterday. How is the training going up? I said the training is going smoothly. When I go back, I will impart the knowledge to them.
We expect that our EAs, that's the extension agents from the ADPs, would have been sufficiently trained to have enough knowledge on all the necessary agricultural practices required for high yield production for maize, rice, and soya beans. We also would have been able to sufficiently train our CBAs, not just on being able to have good knowledge of good agricultural practices, but also knowledge of other entrepreneurship activities they can use to support themselves as extension agents. Yes, at the end of the project, we do expect that both the CBAs and the EAs would have improved in knowledge, but particularly we expect the CBAs that they will be able to either been able to stand on their own, or they've been linked up with relevant private sector organizations that will take up whatever necessary support. Because for us, the success of this program is it's mainly on the CBAs being able to continue to function at the exit of the project.
With this approach by the Agra and Areala CBA project, the challenge of inadequate extension service providers and farmers' access to quality information on modern agricultural innovation and practices to boost their productivity will be solved to a large extent. It will also serve as support to the existing extension systems in Kaduna and Niger states to strengthen the capacities of farmers for maximum productivity and higher income.